For the video here, highlighting a little bit of what I just said, some things that are going on. But our IT guys here, Daniel has. Anytime you're ready, Daniel.
Welcome to the 2025 Circle of Knowledge and Practices Conference. This year, we gather under the theme, Building Better Futures for First Nations. Over the next 2 days, educators and leaders from across Manitoba will come together to share knowledge, strengthen partnerships, and explore new ways of connecting tradition with technology. We celebrate the wisdom of the past, embrace the tools of today, and build the pathways for tomorrow. Thank you for joining us on this journey of learning, sharing, and building better futures together. Please make way for the grand entry.
Okay, we got the thumbs up. We're going to start our grand entry. So please keep the foyers clean and the rails, and let's show some respect for our drum group, Coco Stevenson and Walking Wolf. Anytime you're ready, gentlemen. Nagamun. Miigwech, Walking Wolf, Apache Minotagos, sound very good. We're gonna go to one more song, I believe, gentlemen. Yep. Miigwech, at this time, I'd like to call up Ed Azure and Teresa to open with a prayer for us. Ed, are you back there still? Ed Azure, are you there? Oh, there you are. Okay, awesome.
Thank you, Mr. MC. Thank you, singers. I'd like to thank the Manitoba First Nation Education Resource Center for inviting me to be a part of this fantastic gathering. We lifted our pipes this morning, my wife and I, on behalf of the conference. And at this point, I'd ask all of you, have a seat, sit down, sit down. Back in the day, when we made prayers, we sat in humility. So I'm asking you to do the same thing. So from where you are, I'm going to ask you to make a prayer this morning. In your own mind, meditate for good relations, for good communications, for good, strong, lasting friendships, for fantastic learnings, for gratitude for all those that brought us together. There are so many things to be grateful for. The man who taught me, my father, said, we never know in a crowd like this, we never know whose prayer is going to be heard up here in the spirit world. Just because I'm an old fart and I've been asked to lead the prayer, I'll do that. But it might be you, one of you out there who's heard up here. So we're going to take some time. I'm going to step away from the mic because I don't use this thing when I make prayers. So with that, I'll ask you again to follow through in the manner requested of you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hey, hey.
Well, I said miigwech to Ed, but maybe all of us can give Ed and Walking Wolf a round of applause for starting us off in a good way. Coco Stevenson has always been an awesome advocate at Orange Shirt Days and all that, so we're thankful for all that he does for that. Next, I'd like to call up our Executive Director, Charles Cochran.
Miigwech, thank you very much. Wow, another one, another conference. Woo! I'm not going to speak for long because I want I'm very happy, very pleased with the people that are here, that are distinguished guests. So I am going to invite them as we proceed. First of all, thank you very much, Ed, for opening our great day with a pipe ceremony, giving us that good day. Thank you, Teresa Yetman, for that as well. You know, kichigegu wasago Mahmud Abyang nungom. Kichinen dawat kaya tan shumay Mahmud Abyang asanish abenunja kansh umanja yaenge. Mani shumay Mahmud Abyang menja nuk yang misagwanja madijing abenunja. Kichigegu kap mashing mixes and the nishlabe wis when kaka quite kichong donji. Chichinan dan wasago no ma nagishka dang mino. With no kindeda, minobapeda, minu anundeda. My name is Charles Cochran. I'm the Executive Director of the Manitoba First Nation Education Resource Center. very proud Anishinaabe proud language speaker from my home community of Ebb and Flow. I'm going to say this. I want to say thank you to our Language and Culture Department for gifting me this shirt today to wear. I said there was a gathering, I think about 2 weeks ago, and one of the activities was ribbon shirt making and ribbon skirts. And I said to, very beautiful work that's happening. And again through the department. And one of the comments that was made was, you should wear one of our shirts. And I said, I never thought of that, but absolutely. So one thing led to another, and they said, what would be your colors? And I thought about it. I've been a sports man all my life. Sports has been a big part of my upbringing, as well as obviously education. But when I think of sports and the importance of sports, even in our school system, in our schools, it's, to me, I enjoy when kids come together and they come and play together, network together, and participate. And I know we've recently had some good activities, our softball tournament, cross country more recently, and again, thanks to Mike Thomas and Derek Prince and those that have been involved and the volunteers. But I chose these colors, and I said, I want to use these colors because of my baseball, my sports. I chose blue because that was the color of our baseball team when I played baseball. I chose orange because that was the color of our hockey team when I first started playing hockey, a team called the Ebb and Flow Flyers, in orange. But it also led to red, and as I finished my hockey, we had red jerseys. And then I wanted the green because my dad was a baseball player, and his colors back in the day with the old Ebb and Flow baseball team was green. So I thought, I want to wear colors with my sports, with the sports from our teams from home back in the day. So, and I know it's really good to see, I'll say, elders from communities. I see Sandy Bay elders over here. I know there's elders from throughout the community, so I want to acknowledge the elders that are here. And again, it's a pleasure having everybody here. I want to say thank you to the distinguished leadership, AMC Grand Chief Kyra Wilson over there. I'm going to ask her to come up and speak in a few minutes. Also, SCO Grand Chief Jerry Daniels, Chimiwech, for being here, and of course our board chair, Chief Clarence Easter. Long-time board chair, long-time chief. I think one of the, not going to put his age to it, but one of the longest serving chiefs in Manitoba. So let's give them a hand, the distinguished guest, Kachimi-Wech, for being here. When we look at our theme, and our theme was up there, but it is building better futures for First Nations. And in the program, I'm going to quote what it says in the program because it is the theme for this year's conference, which it speaks directly to our mandate. And it speaks directly to the importance of providing a good education as a foundation for dream building and achieving in many ways. And that's the philosophy behind First Nation teaching methods. And this is what we're here for as MFNERC, is to provide opportunities for professional development, training for the teachers that are here. We do this for yourselves. This is all for you to help you make certainly provide better opportunities for the students in your schools. I thank you, the teachers, the resource teachers, everybody involved in the operations of the school, the EAs and support staff. You can't do it without yourselves. It's all yourselves that are doing that for the betterment of the children, and we appreciate that. I want to say thank you to our First Nation teachers, many of them being here. There are also others, non-First Nation teachers. I always have to acknowledge our Filipino teachers. They really support our schools in a very good way. Chimiwech, the Filipino teachers in our communities. I know we also have Caribbean teachers, and generally attend our conferences. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I do want to acknowledge our previous, I'll say previous leaders that have paved the way to where we are today. I think of my predecessors, late Don Robertson, also Lorne Keeper. Lorne Keeper is still very much one of our trailblazers of the past that came and led our organization. I thank Lorne for his mentorship. We've also had others that have passed on that have been very instrumental in the work. I think of late Virginia Arthurson, late Shirley Malcolm Fontaine, and also certainly other trailblazers. I can't think of all of them, but I'm thinking of people like the late Sharon Fiddler, late John Peter Day, late Rebecca Ross, still alive and well, Mary Kershane, and people that have been trailblazers. And if I forgot some names, I apologize, but these are people that have helped us guide to where we are today. On that note, I say Gitchimigwech. Again, in my language I spoke, we work for the children. We do this for the children. Let's network. Let's talk, let's chat, let's laugh, and let's have a great day. Thank you again, Elder Ediger, for starting us in a great day. Gitchimigwech, thank you very much. That good?
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, I said it too loud. That good?
Miigwech, Charles. Well, Charles told that story about his shirt, and but in language and culture, we decided he needs a new shirt. So language and culture, they made him a shirt, and so that was our gift. But next, we'd like to call up Grand Chief Kyra Wilson, and
But you know, when I think of, I do want to say this, and not to interrupt Kyra Wilson as you come up. I do want to appreciate and acknowledge the great staff of MFNERC. Again, that makes our wheels turn, whether it's the people in the inclusive ed, whether it's the people in our language and culture, the Manitoba First Nation school system, our IT operations, people just, and especially I'll say it, our administrative supports. We can't do it without you. So I want to say thank you and acknowledge everybody involved. Yeah, thank you.
thank you. Yeah, and so next we have Grand Chief Kyra Wilson, and then after that we got Grand Chief Jerry Daniels, and board member Clarence Easter, and we're all, we're thankful for all the advocating they do for us, allow us to do our jobs too. So Kyra will fill you in on some of that.
Good morning, everyone. How is everyone? Everyone's got coffee. Everyone's feeling good, excited. Right on. Okay, I feel the energy. Thank you. So my name is Kyra Wilson. I want to say good morning. Thank you for the introductions and the invitation, Charles. I uplift you in your leadership at MFNERC. You're doing a great job, and your team is doing a great job. So thank you for that. I want to acknowledge the prayers and the drum group as well. Thank you for starting us off in a good way. It's always nice to hear those songs and that connection. Unfortunately, I don't have the gift of retaining songs, and I acknowledge our singers and our drummers that do carry those gifts. So thank you very much. So first, of course, I want to acknowledge that we are on Treaty 1. We all know that we are on Treaty 1 here. I'm actually from 2 Treaty 1 First Nation, so I'm from Long Plain and Sandy Bay First Nation. So I'm so honored to be here. It's probably been about 8 months now since I've been in this role. So in January, I was elected as the Grand Chief for the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs. At AMC, we represent 63 First Nations, and it's been quite the experience and the journey. It's been amazing. And so I want to say thank you to our leadership. I acknowledge Chief Easter here and the work that you do here for MFNERC and in terms of education, very important work that is happening. So I acknowledge our leadership and the support that they're giving me to be able to support our nations. I acknowledge our Grand Chief, Jerry Daniels from Southern Chiefs Organization, and the work that you're doing in the South. But I'm just thinking about, the work that you guys are all doing here. First, the staff, as Charles, you had mentioned, the staff, everyone that is here that works with MF NERC, the conferences that I attend, it's always so well organized. And it's so amazing, the work and the effort that's put into this. So I want to acknowledge all the staff. I also want to acknowledge my mom, who is in the corner over here, Diane. Go ahead, put your hand up, Diane. If you don't know her, that's my mom. She works with MF NERC. So I always need to give a shout out to my mom when she's in this space. I actually don't ever get to see my mom really anymore. Like, I don't really ever get to see her. And so whenever I get to see her at any time, it's always an honor. And so she was my first teacher. My mom was my first teacher, and she taught me everything that I know today. So I acknowledge that and everything that you've done for me. So thank you. Love you. And just also wanted to mention, all the work that each and every one of you are doing in your nations and your communities, or the communities that you work for, communities that you represent. It's so important, the work that you're doing. As educators, you are the first, teachers, mentors for our young ones, our children. And I worked with our children prior to this role, and prior to being chief, I always worked with our kids. And it's very important work, the heart work. And so I acknowledge all of our educators here in the room. And right now, we are doing as much work as we can at AMC in terms of education. We're here to support MF NERC and the work that's happening as well. So we're always going to be a support to MF NERC. But there is a lot of work that we are doing at AMC. And one of the things that we are doing right now is focusing on language. Language is important to our people, to the connection, to spirit, to culture, to ceremony. And that's one thing that we recognized at AMC, and I'm sure each and every one of you have recognized that a lot of our young ones may not have that connection yet to the language. It's there, but we just have to bring it out. Even for myself, just having the language is very important to me. My grandmother's generation actually was the last generation in my family to speak the language. So I'm having to learn myself, which is not difficult, or which is not easy, when you don't have somebody that speaks fluently around you. So that is one of the things that we are working on in terms of advocacy, is making sure that, the province or Canada recognizes our languages. Right now, they recognize English and French, but they don't recognize all of our languages from our nations here in the region and even across the country. So that is something that we are pushing, is legislative change when it comes to recognizing our languages. So there's a lot of work that we're doing, and I could go on all day, but I just want to say thank you for the work that you're doing. And you're doing beautiful artwork, and that I love you all very much. And if you ever have any questions, our door is open at AMC. Miigwech.
I'd like to call up Grand Chief Jerry Daniels next. Southern Grand Chief Jerry Daniels. Thanks for that message there, Kyra. And Kyra was touching on the importance of our language, our culture, and that's one of the reasons why we have that Heritage Fair this year too, because we want to delve more in depth to those stories too. So, Grand Chief, come on up.
Bonjour, Deno Magaduk. Kamatakiapi. Name is Jerry Daniels. I'm from Long Plain First Nation. Hokiwama Kotishnakas, Gakonusha Gunji, and Asidu Dim. I want to thank our Creator for another beautiful day. Thank you to all the knowledge keepers, our survivors, day school survivors, Sissy Scoop survivors who've all went through a terrible past, terrible history for our nations, and who continue to survive, continue to thrive, and continue to hold on to the knowledge of our people and hold strong to our values as Anishinaabe Oyate. It's an honor to be with you here today. I want to thank you, a big thank you to the Manitoba First Nations Resource Center for bringing us together again for this Circle of Knowledge and Practices Conference. This year's theme, Building Better Futures for First Nations, a responsibility that we all carry. And we thank you again for taking that torch and remembering our history. You know, some of the early stories that we've shared was of the first Anishinaabe, Nanubushe. And I think the last time I was here, I spoke a little bit about him. And it was important because he was a big part of how we shaped our own identity as Anishinaabe. Shaped who we are. Stories of Sky Woman, White Buffalo Calf Woman. Those are important stories to place ourselves within the world around us. And our people were very mindful of the times, where we were in history, and what we needed to do to survive, what we needed to do to prepare our children for that time, and the lifestyle, and the challenges we were facing as a community, as nations. And so we thank our elders and those who continue to carry that knowledge and pass it on for that. Today we experience a different challenge, one that involves technology, involves things like AI, an economy that our people need to be prepared for, our young people need to be prepared for. And so the initiatives that MF-NERC is taking are very, very important, and it's not without the teachers here that our young people will be prepared to meet that future. Our ancestors passed down this knowledge through our languages, through stories, ceremony, and time on the land, time on the water. Today we honor those ways while embracing the new tools of technology and different methods that prepare our children for the world in front of them. What excites me about the CKP 2025 is the way this gathering links tradition with technology. This conference is about giving our youth every tool they need to thrive, whether it's through stories, oral history, 3D printing, and AI, or strengthening our languages and cultures at home and in the classroom. It's a reflection of our deep commitment to our children, placing them at the center because they are sacred. They are the heart of our nations and the reason we do this work. And so thank you again for that work. By creating classrooms, communities that reflect who they are, and by ensuring they feel safe, proud, and valued, we are shaping a future of strength and possibility. And so through many years of advocacy, we have post-secondary institutions and education institutions across the province who've included First Nations history, our treaties, the nature of the relationship that led to the treaties, and the importance of the treaties today and ongoing. So I want to acknowledge the knowledge keepers, educators, and leaders and families here today. And thank you again to Kyra Wilson, Grand Chief, for your advocacy. Clarence Easter, Chief, long-term chairman. I want to just acknowledge the late Jim Bear as well, because he was a great friend of mine and was a tireless advocate for education and the exchange of knowledge. And he was all about bringing people together, bringing different, diverse demographics within our communities together, because through our shared knowledge, our conversations, and our dialogue, we can create a better future for our young people. And so that is directly related to what even Chief Sitting Bull had said. Let us sit down, put our minds together, and see what future we can make for our children. And so let's continue to hold on to those statements and the lived experience that has created them, because they were important for our young people to know, and that is who they are. They're here to look after one another. We're here to make the world a better place. That's who we are, and that's who we will continue to be going forward. So together we are showing Canada and the future that First Nations will continue to lead, and that our education will be rooted in our languages. And again, I want to thank all the First Nations communities who've been pushing very hard for language immersion, trying to pull together our fluent speakers. We partnered and worked with Ebb and Flow First Nation this year and Sandy Bay First Nation to see the language immersion throughout the summertime. We had a couple weeks. I don't know if some of you were able to attend. We would love to see a partnership grow and a movement grow to start to real tackle some of the after-school programming. I know, we already put in a lot of work, but it's the after-school programming and support that is going to keep our children away from drugs and away from bad environments. And so we need to continue to build that movement. I went to Friendship Centers when I was very young, and I credit the Friendship Center for the sports, the after-school sports programming, and all the different things that they use to keep us busy. I'm very fortunate because I've been able to keep my own son in sports, and I surrounded him with the best coaches I could. And he's 17 now, and he's never smoked. He's never done any drugs. He's never drank. He doesn't have any inkling to even want to do that. And it's because I've tried to surround him in a positive environment. And so we got to do that for all of our children. We have to surround them with a positive environment throughout their lives and try to continue to encourage them over and over again. And so those of you who do that and who go above and beyond within your communities, thank you so much, because it's the only way we're going to be able to tackle the drugs and alcohol in our community. We need to arm our children, and we need to keep them away from that lifestyle. So with that, thank you again. Honored to serve as Grand Chief for the 32 First Nations of Anishinaabe and Dakota. And we wish you well, and thank you again for the great honor. Miigwech.
Miigwech, Grand Chief Derry. Great message there about the impact of sports, our importance to the economy. So, we got to prepare our kids for that. So next we'd like to call up our board member, Chief Clarence Easter. Come on up.
Thank you. Good morning. Welcome. Circle of Knowledge. Nas komitna petagusinek. Yiniwana stega nisimun. You have the knowledge. You have to deliver that to our kids. And I thank you for that. On behalf of the board of MF NERC, I welcome you here to all today for the next few days, because you are, getting to know more of what you're going to be doing in the next years to come. Also want to emphasize, we are getting better. We are, accumulating knowledge every day. Just an example, the director and, they were part of a movie, Star Wars. but they got killed early. So, but it's a start. You can make these movies. I mean, that's where we're going. My whole point of this is that, we are, well, at least I am anyway. I don't know about you are, but I am learning to trust this process, what we call life. Because life is a process. It keeps going. For you, for us, it's a process, what we call a lifetime. And even though it feels unclear, some days, every step we take or I take is guided by the knowledge that we have. Every delay has a purpose. Every delay has a purpose. And every detour has a lesson. I no longer see waiting as a waste of time. I see it as a preparation. This way, I'm aligned. This way, I'm protected. And this is exactly where I want to be today. And I think, our kids need to learn that. And I think, it's up to you as people with knowledge to deliver that to our kids. Because they need to understand life. I learned earlier that life was important. Because why are we here? Why are we here? We have to live our lives. That's why we're here. And today, that I made some notes here that I wanted to say that I want to leave with you. When I was growing up, hunting, trapping, snaring rabbits, snaring squirrels, I learned that to think critically. I think that's what we need to get our kids to think, is the critical thinking. You just can't set up a trap anywhere. You just can't set up a snare anywhere. You got to think of where you're going to set it up, because that was based on livelihood. Today, I don't see anything has changed. We still need to do that, but in modern terms, because now we have tools that are modern. We have vehicles, we have, phones, we have internet, we have everything we have movies. But those same principles still apply. You got to know where you set your trap, you got to know where you set your snares. Just because the technology changes doesn't mean where we're in a process change. We are in that still same process. We are still in that lifetime. So working on yourself, learning, is the most revolutionary and rewarding act that you can do in our lifetime, in your lifetime. For you, for your lineage, and for all of our kids. And this is why we're here today, because we need to teach them that. And I think sometimes those teachings come from elsewhere. Those principles come from elsewhere, and and then they get confused because, we also have a language, we also have principles, we also have cultural, and sometimes those don't align. So we have to teach them how to align those principles with our cultural, with our languages, because then that way they won't get lost. They'll be aligned, they'll be guided, they'll be protected. and they'll know exactly where they are in this process of life. Anyway, that's my message for today. And I think, I congratulate you for where you are today and keep progressing to where we want to be. Because we want to keep making movies like Star Wars. I like the old cowboy movies because it reminds me of every time I watch a cowboy movie, it reminds me in the days where we only use horses. It always goes back to that time where I was riding a horse, going fishing, going across the lake. I always like to watch a cowboy movie because it has horses in there. That's the only reason why I watch cowboy movies, because it has a lot of horses. Anyway, thank you, and enjoy the next 2 days, and hopefully everybody will come out with more knowledge than you can handle. Thank you.
Thank you, board member and Chief Consister. He's always got a great message about the different things that are available to you as teachers that MF has, inclusive eds, and to meet the needs of the communities. But lastly, we'd like to call up our Assistant Director, Davin Dumas, to close with some comments for the morning before we break off into our sessions. Don't run away just yet. Right after this, we got a couple little things housekeeping details before we break.
Miigwech Jason. Hanin bonjour kina dinawemanak. Nicha nishnabek. Zonge mestaden dish nikas nishnabe uizun. Kawi kwendongak in Indonji. Good morning, everyone. Oh, that's not very good. Okay, let's try it again. Good morning. Woo, we got some live ones over here, right on. That's what I like to hear early in the morning. So my name is Davin Dumas. I'm the Associate Executive Director for MFNERC, and I'm from Sandy Bay. Sandy Bay all the way. Yeah, we got our crew out from Sandy Bay. I could see our Director of Education standing over there, making sure staff are all here, which I'm glad to see. I'm just kidding, Rainey. So I do want to start off by acknowledging Ed and Teresa for lifting their pipes for us this morning. It is very important that we observe and follow our protocols as Anishinaabe people. And by lifting those pipes, we call on our grandfathers, grandmothers, and the spirits to come and be with us during these 2 days. And that's important for us. It's important that we acknowledge those that are here to help. So I do want to thank them. I do want to thank the singers. I do want to acknowledge the leadership that's here supporting MFNERC and honoring us with being here to share a few words. I do want to acknowledge that Grand Chief Kyra Wilson mentioned the focus on language and culture. I don't know how many of you know, but the Provincial Schools Act has actually been changed. And the Provincial Schools Act has now made our First Nation or Indigenous languages a official language of instruction. So they finally recognize, yes, absolutely, they finally recognize that our Anishinaabe languages, our First Nation languages, are equal in instruction of children. For many years, it's been a barrier that our languages have not been recognized as equal, and many of our people still do not see them as equal. Well, they're not equal. Our languages are actually superior to English. You take the time and listen to our elders speak and decode what they're saying. You can't translate a lot of it into English accurately because of the high level of sophistication in our languages. So I want you to keep that in mind when you think about language. I do want to talk about our conference this year a little bit. So this year it's a little bit different. We're not having a keynote speaker this morning as we normally would. We decided to change things up a little bit and have you heading out right away in a very short time here to get into those workshops, working with the staff of MFNERC, getting that professional development in a smaller context. I know a lot of times in a big room like this, it's easy to see people you haven't seen for a while, start visiting, and then your attention wanders. We understand that. So we know that getting into those small groups, getting into those smaller sessions, working with our staff in the different areas, we're trying that out this year to see how that works. With any change, we always appreciate feedback from you, our guests, on how we're doing, on how our presentations. One of the things that I've been focusing on and I've mentioned to our staff is having a continuous improvement. How can we do better? How can we always do better to support those that are counting on us to provide those supports? You know, we had a couple of meetings, actually we had lots of meetings in the last couple of weeks, and one of the things that came up was how education in a lot of ways is a thankless profession. As teachers, we do what we do not to be thanked, but we do it to support those children, to help those children grow. You know, so when I was sitting there this morning, I want to thank you. I want to thank all of you for the hard work that you do each and every day. I know that it's not easy sometimes. I know the beginning of the year, being a teacher, being a principal, being a director of education, I know the struggles, but I also know the good things that happen. I know the good that's being done for the children. That safe environment, someplace sometimes to get a warm meal. And for many of the teachers that I've crossed paths with, that unconditional love, that no matter how they come to school, no matter the situation, you care for them. You genuinely care for them and you show them that love. So I want to do a quick social experiment. So if you are a teacher, a classroom teacher, I want you to stand up. Classroom teachers, stand up, hurry up. As I would say when I was a teacher, hurry up, we don't have all day. Classroom teachers, let's give them a round of applause. Chimiwech. If you are, okay, have a seat. I'm going to be bossy. I'm a teacher. If you are an education assistant, whether that's working one-on-one with small groups, SLEA, I want you to stand up. All of our education assistants. Let's give them a round of applause. Without them, as teachers, we would not be able to do what we do. Okay, next, if you're a school administrator or a director of education, don't be scared. I'll stand with you. Stand up if you are here. Okay, let's give them a round of applause. I don't see too many. Miwech. All the support staff. If there are any support staff that are here that I have not mentioned, I want you to stand up as well. Let's give them a round of applause. I know there's maybe a few, maybe not too many. So miigwech gidigo kinav. That's your thank you for this year. If you don't get another thank you this year, it's not for lack of trying, but I want you to think back to our conference here and remember Davin did thank me this year. And I sincerely thank you. So one of the last things I'll mention is that I'll speak to is Anaguk Migading. So Anaguk Migading is Star Wars in Anishinaabe. So you'll see in your conference booklet that Star Wars, Anishinaabe Star Wars, is being played in this room this afternoon. So it was something that was brought forward that we would consider playing at the conference this year. And coincidentally, our executive director, Charles Cochran, and I both have small parts in there. So it was a really interesting experience. We weren't allowed to talk about it. We had to sign non-disclosure agreements. You know how hard it is as Anishinaabe not to talk about something? It's pretty tough. But when you got NDAs with Disney Plus, Pixel Logic, and Lucasfilm, you get kind of scared because they can put you in jail for a long time. So this afternoon, Anishinaabe Star Wars is playing. I encourage all of our fluent speakers. If you're not fluent, it is subtitled in English. So just because you don't speak the language, it's there. So again, Anaguk, Migading, Star Wars. The only thing I'll say is, and I'll let you figure it out, but between Charles and I, we're two fighter pilots towards the end. One of us dies, and that's all I'm going to say. Okay? You figure out which one when you watch it today. So with that, I want to say, Ichimiwech. I hope you have a fabulous couple of days with us and our staff. Our staff do work hard to make sure that the event runs smoothly, that the professional development workshops that you receive are of high quality. So again, Kachimiwech, and I think one of the last things I'll say is, Gigaminigois Mamandawiziwin, which is, may the force be with you in Anishinaabe. Miigwech.
Miigwech, Davin. So that was one of the housekeeping notes that we're going to have our showing of Star Wars. Also, make sure you go to the trade show. We got a lot of draws there, so get your names in those draws. And I think that's it. Yep, let's get moving on to our sessions. We got a lot of great sessions here for you all today, and we also got some great entertainment at lunch. We have Albert Thompson Memorial Square Dancers this afternoon, and tomorrow we're going all out with the legend Ernest Monias. So we got some entertainment planned for you guys. So, like I said, Wellington Room, trade shows and draws. Okay.
So the workshops start in about half an hour. So you guys can hang out in here as well if you want. There was a phone turned into the trade show. It's a purple phone with stars on the back, and the front page had a baby with some wild hair. So if that's your phone, go check out the trade show.